Hello and welcome to today's episode of Platinum Talks Wealth. Emmy-nominated journalist Jennifer Rogers Markwell changed gears in her television career when she realized the need to help women make sense of investing. She regularly hosts educational workshops to empower women and others to take charge of their financial future. Now, join your host, Platinum Wealth Management President Jennifer Rogers Markwell, as she leads us into the world of money memories, money infidelities, and how these can mold our relationship with our personal finances as adults. Let's dive into today's episode.
Hi, and thanks for joining us on today's Platinum Talks Wealth podcast. I'm Jennifer Rogers Markwell, joined by Clark Bartram. And so thanks for making time. Obviously, you're a face that's very recognizable. You're a name that's very recognizable. Tell folks that maybe don't know who you are and why you do what you do.
I guess I'm recognizable in some circles, but not others. And people are like, I have no idea who this guy is. But what I do is I really live to help men over 50 live in their healthiest body. And the reason, Jennifer, I've defined that avatar is because I'm a man over 50 and I understand what struggles are there when we realize we potentially have more years behind us than we have ahead of us. So I really have dedicated myself to being that guy that is visible on the internet, like you had mentioned, and doing all of these crazy things, throwing footballs into trash cans or whatever, and just being this polarizing object. So people go, I got to check out what this guy's doing and let me see what he's all about, if he's the real deal or not. And that's really what drives me every day when I wake up. That's my goal, is to attract some man into my world and help him understand that there is more life that he can pull out of his life.
How did you get on this path? Because this journey, to me, just watching it from the outside, is fascinating. How did you get to where you're at now?
So there's two answers to that question. There's the spiritual answer, where I say it was what I was created to do. I really honestly feel like God created me to do what I do. I can't run from it. I can't hide from it. I can't escape it. I've tried. I never really wanted to be in this position. I didn't want to be some kind of influencer, but I knew inside of me that I wasn't cut out to be the guy that worked at Republic Steel or Timken Roller Bearing in Canton, Ohio. While that's a great job and I respect the blue collar workers that have invested 30 years of their life in there, but I didn't see that being me. I knew at a young age there was something more, but I didn't really know what it was. And then as I started to age, the other part of the answer is the business side. In business, we know that you find a need, you fill the need, and you close the deal. Well, I saw a need in this market of 50-year-old men who had worked extremely hard their whole life to provide for their families and bring home the bacon and all of that sort of stuff, and put themselves on the back burner, and then realized later in life, hey, what about me, man? I've done all of this and everyone's appreciated it, but I don't feel like that college athlete that I was, or the person that I remember seeing in the mirror years ago. So then that's where I step in, the calling and the purpose and the opportunity to be the guy that men say, hey, I want this guy to be the one that speaks into my life about this specific message of fitness.
Was there a moment for you that all kind of like clicked and fit together and you were on that path?
It all merged like this, very slowly and methodically. As I look back on my life, I get on the balcony and I observe. I grew up being an athletic kid and then joined the Marine Corps because I saw it as the toughest challenge. And that's what I wanted. I wanted the dress blue uniform and rose up really quickly in the Marine Corps. And then from there, I got into the gym business. So that kind of started moving me in the direction of specifically being a fitness person, and then got into bodybuilding and the acting and all of that. And that started giving me the exposure, which said to me, okay, now you have an opportunity here. What are you going to do with this opportunity? And you have this gift and this ability. Are you going to use it for something good or continue to just throw it in the trash can like you did when you were younger and stupid and did a bunch of dumb stuff? So I realized that, okay, I got to do something with this. So it was probably around the age of 45, 47 that I saw the opportunities. And then when I got to be 50, I'm like, okay, this is a benchmark number. This is a year that we all either look forward to or avoid. And then when I hit 50, I'm like, it's on. I need to be the guy. So I started learning and growing and hiring business coaches and fitness coaches for myself just to learn as much as I possibly could. And then tapping into the mind, you had talked about my book. So all of it just really kind of came together, and here I am.
So let's touch on your book. I mean, great segue into that, right? So how you came up with the title, I mean, I love that story.
So I have several books, and the one we're referring to is Where Your Mind Goes, You Go, and it happens to be right here. Oftentimes, Jennifer, people will look someone like myself or yourself, confident. You have this podcast. Life seems like, oh, everything's great. Look at Jennifer. She's out here doing all this great stuff, which you are, but we're human too. And I was coming home from QVC, and I just sold out on QVC, made a bunch of money with this product called 3D Abs by Bartram. And as I'm flying home, I was watching Million Dollar Baby. And I can remember sitting there watching, and all of a sudden I felt this really weird feeling in my body. I'm like, what's going on? I felt like my tongue was swelling up in my head. I was hyperventilating. My fingers were tingling. My feet were sweating. My heart was just beating out of my chest. And I'm like, I'm dying. I'm going to die on this airplane right now. But I remembered having a conversation with a guy earlier that week who had talked to me about having a panic attack. I didn't even know what a panic attack was because I had never experienced anything like that, nor had that conversation about it. But I went back to that conversation. I said, oh, I think I'm having a panic attack. It was so bad. I almost jumped out of the airplane. I literally almost got up. I looked at the door. I said, I'm just going to jump out. But instead, I fastened my seatbelt. I sucked down and I said, I'm going to sit right here and ride this thing out. There's nowhere I can go until I land in Atlanta. And here's a really crazy thing. It was when the music was still in the armrest, right? You could see the armrest. And I had these little headphones in, and I started searching for something on there because the movie I thought freaked me out. And this Christian radio station came on. So I just sat there and listened to all this Christian music, got to Atlanta, called my wife. I said, I can't get on the next airplane. She had no idea what I was talking about. Fast forward, I get home. I lost all of my confidence. I lost my contract on QVC. I was just in hyper state of alert all the time. So I just started diving into the mind, going to counselors, taking courses online, reading books. And one day I was watching Joyce Meyer, and she said, where the mind goes, the man follows. And boom, just like that, I heard, that's the title of your book. And I argued with God. I'm like, book, I'm not writing a book. I barely got C's in high school. I don't know grammar or any of that. And I swear to you, I got up off of my couch. I walked to my computer, and it just started pouring out of me.
Wow.
Next thing I know, I have a manuscript, and I typed online. I heard in my head, type in best book designer. So I typed in best book designer. Guy came up, call that guy, call the guy. We hit it off. He designed this book for me. And then he said, I got a printer in China. So I went, ordered these books in China. Next thing I know, I hear beep, 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 big truck backing up my driveway, dropped off 2 pallets full of this book. When you walked in my front door, you saw books stacked up. I was like, get these things out of here. I stole them one out at a time, like MC Hammer out of my trunk. And then it became a bestseller, got on Amazon and so on and so forth. So
that's awesome. Like, you have so many great stories.
My other book, Magical Mornings, happened the same way. The thing about me with this sort of thing is when I feel a calling or a prompting, I like to move quickly. I like to move fast. I don't want any time to talk myself out of the outcome. And the outcome is a great book that a lot of people got great information from. Matter of fact, one of the guys I coach right now, every day when he checks in our WhatsApp group, day 9 of Where Your Mind Goes, You Go. And I completely forgot what I wrote. I'm like, no, I got to go back and look at this book. And I'm like, this is good stuff. But here's the truth. None of it comes from me. Right? None of this is new information. It's just the way I deliver it in my voice, in my unique style.
Yeah, no, I love that. Love that. Another thing we talk about on this podcast is money memories, right? So when you think back to a money memory that resonates with you, that maybe molded your relationship with money as an adult, where do you go and what are you open to sharing?
So I'm going to be real vulnerable and real honest with you right now. I was a poor kid. So my money memory is money is scarce. My mom, God bless her, she raised 4 of us as a single woman, 3 jobs, and we were instructed as 8, 9, 10-year-olds that if a bill collector called, you did not tell that bill collector that your mom was at work. So one of the most vivid memories that I have about that, I remember my mom leaving from one job to the next. And she said, if anyone calls asking for me, you don't know where I'm at. Don't say where I'm at. So she leaves to go to work at the hospital. She cleaned rooms at the Red Roof Inn. Then she went to the hospital and cleaned rooms. So she's going to the hospital. The phone rings. I pick it up. Hey, bud, this is Paul. Is your mom around? You remember we talked before. So this guy talked me into telling him that my mom was going to a job. There went the welfare checks. There went all of the benefits that she was getting to feed us. And I remember her coming home getting so mad at me. And I cried and I went up to my bedroom, and there was this little piggy bank that I had that my dad, when they were still married, brought me back from Europe. And it was filled with all of my change. And I can remember crying, walking up to my mom with that little piggy bank, giving it to her, saying, I'm sorry, I didn't know. So it was scarcity. And I still struggle with that to this day. I still struggle with that to this day. And it's something that I'm working through. I had a successful business. I've been successful in life, but it's still something that's inside of me that I find myself kind of drifting back to if I'm not diligent in my beliefs and my work ethic and all that sort of thing. And the people I surround myself with that tell me money is not scarce.
It's fascinating because it's embedded, right? It's embedded in everyone that I've asked that to. They immediately go back to that moment and they can almost feel and just live in that moment again.
Almost cried. I could have cried if I would let myself, because I see it, I feel it. I remember I don't even know the exact emotion that my mom had. It was so many different ones, but I just wanted so bad to make up for that mistake that I made of telling this man, Paul, the lion guy, that my mom was going to work. And she worked 3 jobs, but still couldn't provide enough for us to, there was 4 kids, shoes, and she would still give me the Converse white high tops when the PF Flyers were cheaper or whatever. I had to have those, and my mom wouldn't work and would get them for me. And I remember one time when she didn't, and I acted like a spoiled little brat, and she really taught me the value of money at that time. It really kind of broke it down to me. Hey, I work hard. You're lucky. You're blessed. You're fortunate. You're putting something on your feet. Sorry, they don't have Chuck Taylor's name on them. They got somebody else's name. And these are what you're going to wear.
That's powerful. Well, when it comes to money memories, kind of goes hand in hand to a certain extent with money infidelities. So that could be something, that affects you directly, something that, happened down the street, something that happened in your family, whatnot. What's a money infidelity that you've maybe experienced or learned from that others can learn from as well?
So mine cost me to the tune of about $175,000. And it was because I trusted someone that I trusted. And he came and convinced me and my wife that there was an opportunity that wasn't even necessarily a risk on my part. He bamboozled us so much that I said, okay, this is not a problem. I'll put this house on the line for this person to launch this business, which if it is successful, there will be some benefit for me, but wasn't a typical investment. So the loss wasn't expected because the loss was covered by the lies. And it ended up, I watched it look like it was doing great. Then all of a sudden it went off, and then all of the lies started to reveal themselves to me. I'm like, oh, wow, he got me. And the really bad thing about it is me and my wife sat down and we prayed about whether or not this was a good investment for us or a good way to leverage this home that I'm now paying double for that I would have had I not had that infidelity. I made a bad choice. Whether or not someone lied to me, I made the choice to do it. So I was not financially responsible with that money, and I'm still paying for it to this day, and I'll pay for it so that it's paid off. So I think about that a lot, but the thing that I don't do, because there was somebody else involved in that transaction as well. He ended up divorced. He ended up bitter, ended up hating this person, wanting to sue him, trying to get me in on it. And I said, nope, nope, I'm not going backwards. I'm going to figure out how to make more money so I can pay this off and not live in the past and worry about the bad mistake that I made. So it was a lesson, an expensive one, but
And that's a fantastic way. Terrible that that happened by all means, but a fantastic way to look at it of here's how we move forward, right? We pull ourselves up by the bootstraps. We're moving forward.
you have to, right? I don't want to live bitter. I don't want to live angry. I'm not going to hang around that guy. He'll never get another penny from me, even though he tried later. Because I'm so nice. I'm like, I'm not going to. Oh yeah. So I found out that this person was a sociopath and not a person that anyone should trust, and could see then very clearly all of the red flags that should have helped me understand that I never should have even, it really comes down to greed is what it is. We want more. We're greedy for more. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to leverage my house so I can get some return on this. It's my fault, and even talking about it right now, and I haven't talked about this really ever, but talking about it helps me reconcile it in my mind more that it was my choice. I remember I coached with Bob Proctor, and I told him, a matter of fact, I think he's the only other person I really told. He just looked me straight in the face. He goes, your fault. And he walked away. I was like, okay, paid you all this money to come coaching. You tell me that my fault. Thanks.
No sugar on that.
And
Well, thank you for being vulnerable and sharing that. I feel like the money memories and the money infidelities that we've gone through, like obviously are painful in the moment. Hopefully we can learn from them. But the whole concept of this podcast is hopefully others can learn from what we've done and maybe not make the same mistakes.
yeah, vet people out, go to the end. I was even watching this thing on Madoff the other day on Netflix or something, and slick people are slick people for a reason, and very intelligent, very money frugal people can get taken advantage of. So I guess the big thing is if you have been taken advantage of, like myself, you can't get down on yourself. You can't beat yourself up. It's a lesson for whatever reason. It sucks, but thank God it wasn't my entire life savings. Thank God I'm still in my house. Like I'm looking at the things that I still have, not what I don't have. And that's the direction that I want to go. I'm not going to waste time going backwards. That's for sure.
So as we wrap things up, one thing I like to ask is how do you utilize money differently, maybe in your household? And it's different for everybody. Some people will, back to my grandparents, right? They had the envelopes, the Christmas Club envelopes where you put money in each one, bit way old school, but that's how they would, compartmentalize money. What are some tips or tricks that you utilize money in your household?
I trust my wife. My wife is my wife for a reason, and I have a role and responsibility. She has a role and responsibility. And ours is pretty traditional in the sense that I go out and I earn a living. She works too, but I've tasked her and she's assumed that responsibility knowingly and wanting to, that she handles our finances. And just as a matter of fact, one thing that we do that we enjoy is we go to concerts every year, and we'll buy $2,000 or $3,000 worth of concert tickets. And that's what we enjoy doing together. So we're willing to make that investment. And because of COVID and all the weird stuff, we didn't do any of that. And one of our favorite artists, George Thorogood, is coming to a very, very small venue, the Belly Up, which the Belly Up is a teeny little bar. And I'm like, George Thorogood at the Belly Up? Yeah, let's go. She's like, oh man, the tickets are like $250 a piece. Then we got to eat dinner so we can be in first. And then I'm like, it's worth it to me if it's worth it to you. And we both agree. And we're like, let's go. And I'm not going to go, oh my God, this is going to be $1,000 night. It's going to be $1,000 night. It's going to bring a lot of memories and have a lot of fun and do something to bring my wife closer together. So we've agreed on it. I've given her the responsibility to take control of the things. And if she says, well, we can't afford this, we can't afford it. And right now we have new floors being put in because ours got flooded because of all the rain here. And we found the best price. We just searched and shopped. We have to spend money. Money's no good if we don't use it. We just have to be smart with it. And I trust my wife to be smart with it because she's smart with money.
That's awesome. And it sounds like you've got a really solid communication too, which I think is the most important thing.
It ebbs and flows just like anything else. But
That's fair.
yes, overall, for the most part, yes.
Well, good. Well, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me. It's a great background you have there. I love it.
Thank you. Thank
It's
you very much.
It's great.
Well, thank you everyone for joining us today on the Platinum Talks Wealth podcast, and we hope you'll join us for our next.
If you enjoyed today's podcast, Platinum Talks Wealth, please subscribe and share. For more information about Jennifer Rogers Markwell or Platinum Wealth Management, please visit www.platinumwealth.net. Securities and advisory services offered through LPL Financial, a registered investment advisor, member of FINRA and SIPC. The opinions voiced in this podcast are for general information only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual. To determine which strategies or investments may be suitable for you, consult the appropriate qualified professional prior to making a decision. The guest speakers and their companies are not affiliated with or endorsed by LPL Financial or Platinum Wealth Management.